Sloane's monstrous battle transformation, Banshee's screaming name, Puka, Wish Dragons, Morn's magics, OG, rocket launchers and our Malfeasance all exist because of Irish myth and legend. Even the Festival of the Lost owes thanks to Irish tradition. This video will dive into the legends that Bungie used to build all this into Destiny 2. So let's go. Before Titan was taken by the Witness, and after we had just evacuated, Commander Sloane, now alone, had taken a Golden Age suit of armour from the Hive, which enabled her to unleash a technological Rheostrad. A rough translation of Rheostrad is a battle frenzy kind of warp spasm that transforms the host body into a horrendous deformed rage monster that recognises neither friend or foe. Although Sloane's change, admittedly, wasn't quite as extreme as how the Irish myth makes it out to be. Sloane lurched outside. There was a storm. Like Titan was trying to drive off the invader that sat lazily in its sky. She walked into the gale, and the rain beaded on her second skin. Each step was easier with the last as the suit adjusted to her gait. A symbol flashed, and a Hive thrall charged her. She gripped it by the neck and arm before tearing it apart. It was so easy. She laughed then, and the suit interpreted it as a battle cry and amplified it. Broadcasted it. The sound echoed off the discarded shipping containers on the rainy landing pads, echoed through the siren's watch, and up toward the pyramid. The origin of the warp spasm is, I'd say, a lot more horrific. In Irish mythology, the great warrior Cuchulain's Rheostrad made him into a monstrous thing. Hideous and shapeless, unheard of. His shanks and his joints, every knuckle and angle and organ from head to foot, shook like a tree in the flood or a reed in the stream. His body made a furious twist inside his skin, so that his feet and shins switched to the rear and his heels and calves switched to the front. On his head, the temple sinews stretched to the nape of his neck, each mighty, immense, measureless knob as big as the head of a month-old child. He sucked one eye so deep into his head that a wild crane couldn't probe it onto his cheek out of the depths of his skull. The other eye fell out along his cheek, his mouth weirdly distorted, his cheek peeled back from his jaws until the gullet appeared. His lungs and his liver flapped in his mouth and throat. His lower jaw struck the upper, a lion-killing blow, and fiery flakes large as a ram's fleece reached his mouth from his throat. The hair of his head twisted like the tangle of a red thorn bush stuck in a gap. If a royal apple tree and all its kingly fruit were shaken above him, scarce an apple would reach the ground, but each would be spiked on a bristle of his hair as it stood up on his scalp with rage. The Irish influence doesn't end there when it comes to Commander Sloane either, as her ghost is named Shia Khan, which is an Irish language word that when translated to English means peace. Which is all kinds of ironic, as that particular ghost has been known to throw on a bladed shell and fight through her enemies with fury. And I mean through.
A true disciple. If you have any last words, now is the time.
You'll never kill us all.
I don't have to.
Even the Shadows of Yore didn't escape the influence of the Children of Era, in the guise of Guardian who embedded himself deep in the shadows of Yore, Callum Sol. Apart from his janky Irish accent, Sol was a void-wielding Guardian of the Vanguard, before getting embroiled in Shin Malphur's Shadows of Yore, and becoming a Dredgen. His staged reputation painted him as a dangerous individual who delved too far into the darkness despite secretly working with Malphur to draw out those who would tempt dark powers in order to eliminate the threat they pose. He was to become a martyr, pretending to leave the shadows, claiming they weren't going far enough, only to be killed by Shin's golden gun. His death would serve as a warning and also a final rally for those believing the darkness was their path. He played his role perfectly. The final confrontation taking place in the Ascendant Realm, where the hero of the Red War, us, is lured along just after to find a planted ghost shell. The shell has a recording of the confrontation, and the hero of the Red War and Drifter are both led to believe Shin killed Callum without any ulterior motive. The Pied Piper of the Ahamkara was named Mada, which is an old Irish term for dog, which I'm told is more used on small islands off the west coast of Ireland called the Aran Islands. Mada was despised by the Awoken, as he had lured many Awoken to a cliff's edge and then jeered them on as they all leapt from the cliff to their doom under his direct influence. During the Season of the Wish, we finally come across the self-sacrificing lost love of Riven, Taranis. If you peek behind the name of Taranis, you will find its origin came from the Thunderer, the pan-Celtic god of storms and thunder, associated with bad weather and sacred wheels. Small airborne fish-like entities, native to the city of Neomuna, are named Puka, which also is an old word in Irish for sometimes mischievous spirits. In Destiny, the Puka are primarily composed of a flowing quicksilver-like substance that resembles Neomuni nanotechnology, suggesting that they may be creations of the Neomuni themselves. We're not sure. They seem to communicate by drawing up memories within the people that manifest words. There's a few different spellings for Puka. Puka, Fuka, Puck is a creature of Celtic folklore, considered to be bringers both of good and bad fortune. They could help or hinder rural and marine communities. The creatures were said to be shape changers that could take the appearance of horses, goats, cats, dogs, and hares. They may also take a human form, which includes various animal features, such as ears or a tail. In the lore tab of Exteris, Eris Morn assembles the major arcana cards in a Celtic cross assembly, which can be spotted at the Lectern of Divination. The barrel of the weapon also features some major arcana cards. The Celtic Cross Tarot card arrangement is one of the oldest, most popular, and enduring tarot spreads. It's considered to contain an energy that has built steadily from continuous use over the years. When one lays out the tarot cards in a Celtic cross spread, one connects to an energy formed by the hundreds of thousands of readers who have used and continue to use this spread for divination purposes. You dip into a powerhouse of universal energy when you work with this spread, something akin to tides. We encounter the former shell of Clovis Bray, Banshee-44, on a near daily bounty basis. But have you ever asked yourself what a banshee is? A banshee is a female spirit in Irish folklore who heralds the death of a family member, usually by screaming and wailing intensely. It's said she only appears to certain families of Irish descent and bring bad omen if you encounter her. The Witch Queen introduces us to an ancient god of learning and wisdom who resides in the pantheon of ancient god creatures. But don't think this is Savathun, as it really isn't. The Ugma PR6 is a legendary solar pulse rifle introduced in the Witch Queen. The word Ugma, or Oma, is a god from Irish and Scottish mythology. A member of the Great Council of High Gods, the Tues. He is the renowned inventor of Ogham, the script in which Irish Gaelic was one of the earliest written languages, possibly hailing from the 1st century AD. Manannán SR4 is a legendary scout rifle that could have been acquired from engrams and rank up packages given by Banshee-44. Manannán, or Manon, is also known as Manannán Mac Lir, son of the sea, who's a sea god, warrior, and king of the otherworld in Gaelic, Irish, Manx, and Scottish mythology, who is also one of the Tuatha one of the more simple uses of the Gaeilge language is for Aoife Rua D, which is a legendary sniper rifle that could have been acquired from weapon drops and Banshee-44 again. Aoife is an Irish name, and Rua means red in Irish. Aoife is probably derived from the Irish Gaelic Eamh, which means beauty or radiance. Morrigan D is a legendary rocket launcher in Destiny 2. The Morrigan, or Morrigan, or Danu, also known as Morrigu, is a figure from Irish mythology. The name is Mór Riogan in the Irish, and it has been translated as Great Queen or Phantom Queen. She is mainly associated with war and fate, especially with the foretelling doom, death, or victory in battle. Often she would appear in the midst of battles as a crow, the Bab. She incites warriors to battle and can help bring about victory over their enemies. The Morrigan encourages warriors to do brave deeds, strike fear into their enemies, and is portrayed washing the blood-stained clothes of those fated to die. Each year, we revisit the Festival of the Lost, held in the Tower, where Grandma Levante gets us to run around spooky lost sectors coinciding with Halloween. But the All Hallows Eve event originates from the Irish pagan festival of Samhain, celebrating the beginning of November, end of harvest season, and beginning of the darker half of the year. On the more mystical side, it would also be known as the time of the year when the connection between the dead and the living would be strongest, allowing for communing with your long past loved ones. In fact, the tradition of carving pumpkins derived from the Irish carving out turnips. There wasn't pumpkins available. For each of the armour sets, there's always been a cultural inspiration that spawned the look, feel and design for Destiny 2. The reveal of the Iron Banner sets is no different. If you take a look at Iron Intent armour sets, you'll see a criss-cross lacing ornamentation on the armour pieces, and this is typical of a Celtic motif shared by Ireland and other Celtic countries. While not exclusive to Ireland, the brooch seen on the Hunter armour is very similar to Celtic brooches found in Ireland and could be said to be the inspiration for such. Bloody, dark and horrific are some words that have described the myth and legends that have come from the rich culture of Ireland, and they're on display in the game if you take a little time to search beyond the name. They infuse the game with just another layer of richness that tell a tale of depth, beauty, and sometimes depravity. It is these hidden gems that make excavating the deep-set connections so much fun, and also in the opportunities to learn more about my own and other people's culture. From the hidden implications of using a Celtic cross in Eris Morn's card arrangements to understanding the true nature of Sloane's Golden Age armour, there are such stories that beg to be seen, all hidden below the surface in the deep lore of Destiny 2. That was my dive into the myth and story from Ireland that has been embedded into Destiny. I hope you enjoyed the exploration as much as I did. Do you know of any other references that I could have missed? Leave your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Like, subscribe and all that good stuff if you like what I'm cooking. I'm Neff, and I'll see you in the next one.